Welcome to The Explainer. So today we're diving into this really powerful story about the choices we all make inside the systems that shape our lives. Think of it as a case study in corporate morality, a look into a world where doing the right thing and doing the smart thing are almost never the same. Let's get into it.
Let's start right here with this warning from a father to his son, a line that really gets to the very heart of our story. It's all about the performance of corporate life, and the real danger that one day you look in the mirror and that performance is the only thing looking back. Okay, so here's how we're going to break this down. We're looking at this ethical tightrope walk in 4 parts, all set inside this fictional company, Meridian Consolidated. First, we'll look at the performance, then a crisis of conscience, how you can frame compassion as risk management, and finally, the actual weight of a choice. All right, first up, the corporate performance. We need to set the stage and really understand the world of Meridian. Because in a place like this, success isn't just about your numbers. It's about a very specific and constant performance. So the big idea here, the central metaphor, is the mask. But check this out. Its function is twofold, and this is key. It doesn't just hide you from the world, it also hides the world from you. It narrows your vision so much that you start to mistake that restriction for focus. And our mean guy, a senior exec named Viktor Sören, he's a pro at this. He gets it. In this world, being vulnerable is a weakness that gets punished way more than being deceptive. You have to perform innocence 24/7. It's a full-time job. And this is how Viktor sees things from way up on the 47th floor. He doesn't see corporate life as some noble climb to the top. No, he sees it as a slow, carefully managed fall. A descent so gradual that everyone tricks themselves into thinking they're actually flying. Okay, so into this perfectly controlled world of performance and procedure, something messy and human crashes the party. The kind of problem that a corporate machine just isn't built to handle. For the system, the problem looks like this. Just a number, $17 million. That's a quarterly loss from a division run by a guy named Stephen Chen, a loyal employee for 23 years. On paper, it's an open and shut case, a fireable offense. But here's the why behind that number. $40,000 a month. That's the cost of the experimental treatment that's keeping Chen's terminally ill daughter alive. It drove him to cook the books, not to get rich, but to buy his child a little more time. So this is Viktor's conflict, right? Lay it out perfectly. On one side, you've got the cold, hard logic of the business. On the other, the undeniable reality of a human tragedy. The numbers tell a story of failure, sure, but the context tells a story of absolute desperation. And Viktor's colleague Dmitry, he just hits the nail on the head here. He gets why Chen did it. But he also knows that simple human understanding, well, it's useless currency in that boardroom. Empathy doesn't exactly show up on a balance sheet, you know? So what do you do? How do you solve a deeply human problem in a system that only speaks the language of profit and loss? Well, you don't fight it. You learn to speak its language. You translate mercy. Viktor's plan is actually pretty compassionate. Give the guy a soft landing, save him and his family from total ruin. But he absolutely knows he can't walk into that boardroom and sell this as just being a nice guy. The board will see it as weakness, as an expensive, dangerous precedent. And this really brings them to the core question of their whole strategy. Are they doing this out of genuine compassion for Chen, or are they just trying to manage the risk of a PR nightmare if the company publicly destroys a grieving father? And their answer? It's brutally pragmatic. In the world of Meridian, your motive is a luxury. If compassion and cold calculation lead to the exact same result, saving Chen, does it even matter which one was the real reason? So here it is, the final game plan. They're not going to argue for Ursi. No way. They are going to translate compassion into the language of risk. They'll argue that a desperate, fired employee with 23 years of company secrets is a much bigger liability than the financial loss. The bottom line, Chen's silence is cheaper than his punishment. All right, let's head into the boardroom for the final showdown. The situation gets even more intense. After his daughter passes away, a grief-stricken Chen shows up at the meeting, and he's ready to confess everything. But the company's chairman, a guy named Arthur Crane, he's a master of this game. He just cuts him off. He completely reframes Chen's confession, dismissing it not as integrity, but as a selfish performance of pain. It's a brutal move, but wow, is it effective. And then he does something incredible. He takes Chen's grief and flips it on him. He says, look, your daughter fought so hard to live. Are you really going to honor that fight by throwing your own life away?
He basically turns self-destruction into an act of disrespect for his daughter's memory.
And this is the masterstroke. Crane doesn't just stop Chun from blowing up his life. He gives him a new story to live by. He tells him to take the retirement package, use the money, and start a foundation in his daughter's name. He offers a path to turn meaningless loss into powerful, tangible purpose. Chen takes the deal, but listen to his words. There are no illusions here. This isn't some happy ending. He knows exactly what's happening. He's accepting help born from manipulation, from a system that caused the problem in the first place, and that this solution makes every single person in that room complicit.
So in the end, yeah, a man is saved. But it wasn't some pure act of compassion, was it? It was this messy mix of empathy, strategy, and straight-up manipulation. The right thing happened, but only because it was disguised as the pragmatic thing. All inside a system that isn't designed to be evil, just predictable. And to be predictable, messy human variables have to be managed.
So what do we take away from all this? Well, this whole case study really shines a light on some uncomfortable truths, doesn't it? That the masks we wear aren't just for show. They're absolutely survival tools. That clean, simple, ethical choices are often a luxury most of us can't afford. And maybe most importantly, that for compassion to actually work in a rigid system, it sometimes has to put on a mask and pretend to be cold, calculated strategy.
And that leaves us with this one big, lingering question. When you reframe your true motives to fit what your audience will accept, is that just smart communication, or is it just another form of dishonesty? It's a question about the masks we all choose to wear, and whether, over time, we can still tell which face is really ours.